Well, basically, by the time we were forming the band, my little brother was probably what, like 13. So I was giving him lessons, him and his little friend from school named Sebastian. Basically, these two kids wanted to learn how to play music somehow. You know, we had a drummer, we had a bass player, like, but what happened is that these people were not really feeling it, you know. They were not putting so much effort as we were, you know.
They weren't down for the.
They were down for. Yeah. We were down for anything. They were not, you know. Trevor left the band, and Sebastian was already, you know, playing basic stuff. You know, he was learning for about 4 or 5 months, but I thought he was ready. I asked him. He's like, hell yeah. So we started with Sebastian. 6 or 8 months after that, our drummer Anthony, he sold his drum set and he never came back to practice again.
He just sold his drum set.
My brother was teaching me how to play guitar. I would just jam out with Sebastian and stuff. I wasn't that good, but like Bruno was like, just join the band, you know, like learn. So I started playing guitar, and we're having a really important show at this place called Pop Rocks. And they were saying, oh yeah, Culture Shock's gonna be there and stuff. And we're getting ready. We're like, alright, we're gonna practice like for like 2 weeks straight. And all of a sudden, I find out that the drummer left us. He was like, yeah, he's on this drum set. So we're like, wait, what happened? Like, what happened? We're like, and,
what's wrong with you?
Like, literally, like 2 months before that, my brother bought me a drum set for Christmas. So I had been messing with it, and like, I loved it, you know, but I never thought I was like good enough. And I was like, you know what? We'll practice it, and I'll do whatever I can do. And like, yeah, I just like grabbed on the drums. I left the guitar.
And we killed it.
And no, we didn't kill it.
No.
It was, bro, my first show was terrible, you know, because I didn't know how to be, like, on stage playing drums. I dropped the drumsticks.
He's hard on himself, you know.
It was terrible, but it was, like, yeah, and then I just started, like, getting into it, and, like, yeah, and that's all I do now.
Yeah.
Well, so that's when Frankie, you know, he started playing drums. That was actually and, like, a week later, we had our first gig in Miami when
we had a piano player named Omar. And he was working with us at the time, you know what I mean? He decided to leave. He didn't want to play with us anymore. And Dre at the time was, you know, good friends of ours. You know, he hung out. He was kind of, you know, musically inclined. He was getting into the music, into the culture.
I bought a synthesizer.
Yeah, yeah, I remember.
I bought a synthesizer. That was my first.
I remember. That was your first musical venture. Yeah. Like, he came like one day, you know, just like, yo, I got this synthesizer. It was good, you know.
Like, I just got into like listening to reggae with Bruno. You know, like he was the one that was introducing me to like all this like new reggae music. At that time I was only listening to like a couple little, you know, the typical little reggae bands. I was more into like the hip hop and all that stuff. And then one day he wrote me a list down of every single reggae band I should listen to. I'm like, yo, this is a big ass list. It had Midnight in there. It had like all these crazy little bands. I never heard of Burning Spear from that day, and it was like, what, these bands, man. And from then it was like that roots, you know. So like that's all I could listen to.
It's because it's third world music. You know what I mean? It's you can identify, if you are from the third world, you can identify it perfectly with it. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Everything that happens anywhere in the third world is one big nation. You know what I mean?
Okay.
If you talk to anybody, if you're from Angola, if you're from, you know what I mean, from South Africa, if you're from Venezuela, from Mexico, from Asia, you know what I mean? If you're living in the third world, you'll hear between the comments of everybody about how their home is, how things are back home, is very similar, you know what I mean? You know, the poverty is rampant, you know, the political turmoil is always there, you know what I mean? The instability is always there, you know what I mean? But at the same time, the land is full and rich, and nobody understands why everything's messed up, you know what I mean?
Right.
And hearing that roots coming through, that's what it's about, you know what I mean? It's not about shaking your booty or going out and getting drunk. It's about, you know, yo, this is going on. What the hell? Let's get together, you know what I mean? Let's all be good people, you know what I mean? So that strikes a chord with people from the third world, you know. That's why, like, also Sebastian, he can get to it because he's, you know, he's Colombian at heart, you know what I mean? My man over here is Ecuadorian and Puerto Rican at heart. So it's that, you know, that common thread that if it's not ourselves that we live it, we've heard it through our fathers and our fathers' fathers, and, you know, all the way back to colonial times.